You've never eaten a crispy and cheesy lasagna like this, with a special ingredient that you've never ever used in your life. And there is no tomato sauce in this one. We're making the lasagna in this Pyrex, and the size of this Pyrex is 11 inches long, 7.5 inches wide, and 3 inches deep. If you're using a larger tray, just double the ingredients. We need half a kilo of fresh lasagna sheets, 500 grams of ground beef, 200 grams of sliced mushrooms, 200 grams of provolone cheese, 200 grams of mozzarella cheese, both cut into cubes, pecorino cheese or Parmigiano Reggiano, as much as you like, 100 grams of butter, 50 grams for the Béchamel sauce, 50 grams for the mushroom sauce, half onion chopped into pieces, half a glass of red wine, you can also use white wine, 1 broccoli, bunch of basil, chopped parsley, extra virgin olive oil, salt and pepper. For the Béchamel sauce, which is very important, we need 500 milliliters of full cream milk, 50 grams of butter, 50 grams of flour, and some nutmeg. First thing to do, let's cut the broccoli, okay? So the broccoli, what we're gonna do, is to cut it as small as we can, okay? So, this part, very important. All the nutrients are there, so we don't remove this. But what we do, we're gonna cut these into small pieces. We want this to kind of disappear in the lasagna, okay? Okay, so we cut it small, so it will also cook faster. So let's cut as small as we can. And now you should be able to break your broccoli by hand, just like that. Okay, what we're going to do now, we're boiling them. Let's get a small pot with water and bring it to boil. Add some salt, not too much. We're going to boil the broccoli. Now we covered this and we let it boil for about 7 minutes. Now let's prepare the mushrooms and the meat. So what we do is we put extra virgin olive oil, a nice amount, a little splash of water, put the stove on a medium-high heat. Now let's cook the onions for about 5 minutes on a medium-high heat. Alright guys, after about 5 minutes, we're going to put a little splash of wine. I don't want the onion to burn. Now we add the mushrooms. Now the mushrooms will release a little bit of water. What I want to do now is to get a little bit of water out from the mushrooms before we add the meat. So meat and mushrooms can cook together. Now can you see the mushrooms have released a little bit of water? What we're going to do now, we add the 50 grams of butter and also the parsley. And now the butter will help us to cook these beautiful mushrooms. We keep all these beautiful flavors in this pan. Now that we have this beautiful kind of a wet base, we're going to add the meat. And you put the meat, just press a little bit. Don't forget we're cooking on a medium-high heat, okay? So this process is going to be quick. We try and cook the meat on both sides. And when the meat becomes gray, we add the wine. Now let's add a little bit of salt. Put some pepper. Can you see that the meat kind of became brown? Now we have the water coming out from the mushrooms, the butter, the meat. So what we're going to do now, we're going to put all the wine. You don't have to use wine if you don't want to, okay? You can just use water. The wine is going to evaporate, but at the same time it's going to tenderize the meat and add beautiful flavors to this sauce. Now we're going to let it cook until the wine evaporates and this sauce kind of thickens. The broccoli have been cooking for 7 minutes and they are now ready to go in the sauce. Let's put the broccoli inside. A little bit of water, it's okay, it doesn't hurt. And try and mash the broccoli a little bit so the mix very well with the meat. At this point the sauce is done. What we're going to do, we're going to add a little bit of basil just to add extra flavors. And just switch off the stove at the moment so we don't cook the basil. Now the basil is releasing beautiful flavors to the sauce. Beautiful mix that we're gonna use to fill the lasagna. Look how nice this is. This is actually nice for a meal, just as it is. This is perfect to eat with a little bit of bread. Beautiful, beautiful dinner already. The meat, mushroom, broccoli filling for the lasagna is ready. Now let's work on the bechamel sauce. Get a deep, small pot. Medium-low heat. We don't want to burn the bechamel. Medium-low heat because we don't want to burn the bechamel. 50 grams of butter. Now we want to start melting the butter, which is going to be very quick. Now from this moment we need to be quick. Put the flour in and stir. And you will see this will become thick in no time, see? Perfect, we got that. Now from this moment we start adding the milk, a little bit at a time. So we add the milk. A little bit. And now we want to melt the butter and the flour into the milk. Let's make this nice and thick. But we don't want to burn the butter. Can you see? It's already drying up quickly, so it needs more milk. But we don't put milk all at once. Now mix. If you do this on a high heat, you can actually ruin it. So slowly, it's a gentle sauce. Can you see how thick it is? It needs more milk. And again, here we go. Beautiful, starting to look good, see? See, we don't have lumps anymore. That's why we also do this slowly, to get rid of the lumps. Now we want this to be nice and smooth. Originally, it's a French sauce, but we love this bechamel in Italian cuisine, and I think we use it more than the French. Now let's pour the last amount of milk that we got, put everything in there. Now the last amount of milk, let's put the nutmeg, as much as you like. Now let's finish it off. Bechamel should be thick, but runny at the same time. You don't want it to be extremely thick. Definitely, you don't want to see any lumps. So by warming up the milk, we are melting the lumps, which is built by butter and flour. Make sure you scratch the bottom when you make bechamel sauce. We don't want nothing to be stuck at the bottom. I think we're ready. Bechamel sauce, it's ready to be served. Switch off the stove. The pot is still nice and hot, so we can still mix. And we can finish off our bechamel. Look how beautiful. Look how beautiful it is. Look at this beautiful bechamel sauce. This is gonna be beautiful. Bechamel and lasagna are the perfect match. Now it's time to assemble the lasagna. The first thing we're going to do is to put the bechamel sauce at the bottom. Perfect. So this way the lasagna doesn't get stuck at the bottom. Let's put a little bit of ingredients at the bottom as well. Just a little bit, not too much. Beautiful. Now let's put the first lasagna sheet, which fits perfectly in there. Perfectly. What I might need to do is to maybe close this gap. I don't want any gaps on my lasagna. So I'll break the lasagna sheet like this and close it. Now what we do, again, we start with the bechamel. Bechamel first. This recipe was shared with me back in 2009. One of my friends made it for New Year's Eve in 2009, and this was his mom's recipe. I just made a few little changes. Like his mom used zucchini, instead I used broccoli. And I added the meat, she didn't put meat. But I think you're gonna love this. Now we wanna be very generous with the meat, mushrooms and broccoli mix. Very generous. Just make sure that you have the right amount of ingredients for every slice. Now we add the provolone cheese. Now we add the mozzarella cheese. And the pecorino cheese. Another little touch of bechamel on top, not too much, just a little touch. We put another lasagna sheet on top. Again, we have a gap here that we don't want, so let's break the other half of this. Put it there. And we do the same thing. So the bechamel. Spread everywhere. Make sure you cover the lasagna sheet with the bechamel. Now again, be generous with the ingredients. I'll fill up this one a little bit more. That's the centerpiece. That's the centerpiece. I'm happy to fill it up a little bit more, a little bit heavier. Well, let's put the provolone cheese, mozzarella cheese, a little touch of Béchamel sauce. Now when you get to this point, we're halfway, we want to press down. By pressing down, we are compacting this lasagna, and this will also allow us to have an extra layer. The extra layer that is very, very important, okay? Make sure you keep some bechamel sauce for the top of the lasagna, okay, please. All right, now let's put whatever we have left, we put it in. Now the last layer. Close this gap. Now it's very important to close all the gaps, guys. Yeah, break into that. Put an extra on there. Now we press as much as you can. Now for this recipe, it's very important to have this much gap between the surface, okay? What we're going to do now, we're covering the top with the bechamel. Now the bechamel is covering the lasagna sheets, but it's also acting as a glue. Great. We are going to cover the lasagna with our foil. The reason why I said to you keep a gap in between the lasagna and the top part is because I don't want the foil to touch the bechamel cheese. The foil should be going on top without touching the top part of the lasagna. So it doesn't touch the bechamel. Now we're going to bake the lasagna just like this, covered in our foil, for 20 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius. All right, it's been 20 minutes. And we cooked the lasagna. Look at that, see? This is not a tomato-based lasagna. Normally on tomato-based lasagna, I never put cheese on top. But this is different. This is a white lasagna. So what we're going to do is we are going to put the provolone cheese. Then we're going to add the mozzarella cheese. And last but not least, the pecorino cheese. A drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. Now, back in the oven, not covered, at 180 degrees Celsius for about 10 minutes or until the cheese melts. Look how beautiful and cheesy this is. It took about 14 minutes to get to this point. See, the cheese melted beautifully. We got a nice crust on the side. Fantastic. I normally don't like to serve lasagna hot. I like to serve it warm. Why? First, because it keeps the shape. So it's nice, you get nice layers and the shape stays together. Because if you serve it when it's hot, it becomes floppy. It doesn't look pleasant. And also, it's easier to eat when it's warm. So what I'm gonna do now, I'll leave it on the side for about 20 minutes and then I serve it. It's now time to cut the lasagna. So let's see how it is inside. Look how beautiful. Nice crust. Listen to the crust. But the middle part has to be soft. So let's cut it. Make sure it's not stuck to the sides. The last thing you want to do is to cut the lasagna and you got the lasagna stuck to the sides. The first piece normally always break, hopefully not today. Okay, let's do it. Ooh, wow, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look how moist it is inside. Look at these beautiful ingredients. Look at that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Look how cheesy this lasagna is. Look at that. Oh. I don't actually need to use a fork. I don't actually need to use a knife. Wow. Wow. This lasagna makes me dance. Oh yeah. Look at this, guys. Look how cheesy. Oh my God. Layers and layers of love. This lasagna makes me dance. Do you want to dance too? Seriously, you won't stop eating this. This is so good. And broccoli takes everything to the next level. My God. We have broccoli and mushrooms on one side, doing very good to you. And on the other side, we have lots of cheese and bechamel, bringing happiness to your belly. Yeah. I hope you're going to make this lasagna because it's sensational. Please, write a comment below. Let me know, please. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I will see you on the next Vincenzo's Plate video recipe. E ora si mangia. Vincenzo's Plate.